Los Cabos Drumsticks present
Quarter notes.
We're representing.
Yeah.
All
All right. Well,
right. So I guess we're gonna do this episode now.
okay. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the Los Cabos Presents Quarter Notes.
He
with
did
Dre,
it.
with Dre and Rich. Now,
That's a legit intro.
today we have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, a former bandmate of mine. He is a drummer and percussionist and hamburger enthusiast based in Toronto, Ontario. He has recorded and or appeared live, either as a drummer or percussionist, with the likes of the Sheepdogs, July Talk, Born Ruffians, Tara Lightfoot, Yukon Blonde, Anyway Gang, Dwayne Gretzky, and many more. Ladies and gentlemen, Los Cabos artist, Adam Hindle. Welcome to the podcast, Adam.
Welcome.
Thanks. It's way more fun hearing somebody else call me a hamburger enthusiast than me just calling myself a hamburger enthusiast all the time.
Well, it's good to know where you stand. And I speaking of knowing where you stand, have you tried the new chicken Big Mac? It's today. It's out today.
There's a chicken Big Mac?
Yeah.
Well, I'm proving myself to be a poor hamburger enthusiast.
Well, you're probably like a highbrow hamburger guy, are you?
It's McDonald's, right? So
no,
how good can it be?
I like Burger King. I like Carl's Jr. I like Burger King and Carl's Jr.
What would be like of all the like, let's go like just fat, like sure there's like great, and we'll get into them, like some great burger spots in different places you've been, but of the fast food, the big five fast food, take your pick what those five are, but like of the most popular fast food burgers, what's your go-to? Is it Burger King?
And I've been around the block a few times with all of them, but if I had to pick a favorite fast food hamburger, I gotta hand it to Burger King and the Angry Whopper. If you remember the Angry Whopper,
is that a
remembered well?
Is that a spice? Is it spicy?
Yeah, it's got crispy onions, crispy jalapenos, some kind of spicy sauce. I think pepper jack cheese is the thing all fast food places use when they want to have a spicy
version.
Yeah. It's pretty good. And I see on some bus ads that it's making a comeback.
Oh, is it coming back? I'm more excited about that than the chicken Big Mac.
Well, the chicken Big Mac is exciting news to me. Much like the return of the Angry Whopper was a couple of days ago. So this it's already worth it coming on this thing.
Yeah, these are award-winning questions, by the way, Rich. I think this is definitely going to get us noticed.
I wanted to get, I wanted to get to the juice.
You want to get to the meat of it all?
Oh, there we go.
The meaty juice.
How these episodes get approved,
this
we
is
still don't know.
This is a quote from I think CTV News. Toronto chef has been fine-tuning McDonald's chicken Big Mac for 2 years, leading up to its upcoming launch on Tuesday, which is today. Mm-hmm. I remember taking a bite of it and thinking, wow, this is a Big Mac, but it's a little different, says Jeff Anderson, McDonald's senior manager of menu innovation in Toronto. So Jeff, well done. There's a lot of people talking about this, and I know there's probably going to be a few listeners here.
Is it
heading for McDonald's?
A McChicken with Big Mac sauce instead of McChicken sauce?
I don't know the details, but I think
it took them 2 years to figure it out.
Essentially, so. I think it's essentially replacing the beef with chicken.
Yeah,
and maybe there might be another. I think there might be one other little tweak or something. So it's
hold the pickle.
And like that weird second bun, or the middle bun that Big Mac has.
Yeah. See, I don't order Big Macs anymore. I get the McDouble, make it like a Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I in high school once I was convinced to take part in a Big Mac eating contest, and we ordered a whole bunch of Big Macs, and then I quickly realized Big Macs are disgusting. Uh, so
Mm.
I lost really quickly, but another friend had recently constructed a giant water balloon launcher. So we had fun taking the remaining stack of Big Macs out into the woods and seeing how far Big Macs can fly.
They go. I bet you they go.
Yeah,
Telling you, we're after the Pulitzer
they're
Prize.
dense. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a cannonball.
I bet.
But like a cooler cannonball that kind of splits off and gets Big Mac sauce on all the endangered plants.
It's like a ballistic. It just goes everywhere.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
I'm telling you, we keep these questions up, we're gonna get like a Pulitzer or something. just keep them going.
Well, I'd love to, but this is a drumstick podcast, so we're gonna get into some drum stuff now.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the rest of your bio and talk about that, Adam. So let's get into how I know you. I met you playing. We've talked about Dwayne Gretzky on this podcast before.
Yeah.
We met there when we were both drummers and percussionists.
So my introduction to Dwayne was, you were away, they needed somebody to fill in. I did that, and then had so much fun that the next week I was like, I got these congas and a tambourine and stuff. Let me just bring those and let me play along from the side of the stage at the Dakota. And I don't know how many people have been to the Dakota Tavern. It's a very small stage. And even then it was a large band. So I would be off stage, unmiked, playing congas along to, I think, appropriate conga songs. But
all songs are appropriate conga songs.
Yeah, that was 2011, and it's interesting because up until then, I had only ever played, I'd never played percussion with another drummer before, but it proved to be fun and people enjoyed it, and it's a cool visual thing. So now, like to this day in Dwayne Gretzky, there's always, or not always, but whenever possible, there's the two-man thing, because on all the like records we love and try and cover, there's always little intricate details, and it's super fun to try and go in and be like, this tambourine hit only happens once after like 32 bars. I'm gonna look silly just standing there for that long, but it's gonna be so satisfying to hit that one little tambourine hit after 32 bars.
I was impressed with your attention to detail for those parts. It's been mentioned on this podcast before when we talked about covers and learning them verbatim, learning them properly, because they are hit songs in part. Like, people didn't willy-nilly go and just play the drum parts. I once gonna name drop here, played the show with John Fogerty rather, and Kenny Aronoff was playing, and Kenny said, one thing drummers don't think about is they got to play the right parts to make the song go number one. And that's kind of an obvious statement, but it's also not, like, or if you don't think about it, like, I just go, we're gonna put some drums on this tune, whatever, like, but like, that's case in point for like when the percussion goes on a track, it really can sometimes just be that fairy dust that just makes the thing come alive. And that was one of the wicked, like, most fun parts of playing in that band with you, was that you were like so paying attention to those details, and it just made the songs come alive.
Oh, well, thanks, man. Like I've heard percussion in bands be described as the spice in the stew. Like there's a lot of cover bands that play and play the parts, and you'll still have fun on the night, um, even without the little details. But the stew tastes so much better when, you know,
All the
the
ingredients are there.
the conga part in that Jackson 5 song is there, or the chimes in the Fleetwood Mac song, or
Yeah.
something. Like, it's all the little details that the audience member is like, oh, I didn't know I was missing it until I heard it, and then you did it, and it made it so much more fun. And like,
Yeah. Or they hear another cover
close.
band. They hear another cover band that doesn't have it, and they're like, something's off. Like, it was good, but there was just didn't have
Yeah,
that same. And then when they hear it, they don't realize what it was. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was one of, I mean, that's hearing you say that, how, and I remember that happening in the back in the day at the Dakota. And that really was, like, I think a huge part of Dwayne Gretzky becoming Dwayne Gretzky. I think, like, really going from like playing some Tom Petty and Bruce Springsteen covers to like starting to do something more special,
Really going
arguably.
for it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, paying
Yeah.
attention to details. Yeah.
That
And I remember you, sorry, I just want to bring up the bottle in playing on the glass bottle.
Don't stop till you get enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
This guy brought a
That was
glass
fun.
bottle on stage. Because
Mic'd it
that's what
up.
because that's what
Yeah,
it was in the studio.
yeah.
so
And
that
a
in
lot of times those don't work because, like, I love getting the details, but sometimes it's such a battle, to get things properly mic'd as a
Yeah.
percussion player in a loud band.
Mhm.
Uh, but that time at the Horseshoe, I think it was Karen mixing, and it worked out then because I saw some videos afterwards, and the bottle was coming through loud and
Yeah.
clear.
nice.
Yeah.
So that begs the question. So what is the real, I mean, I guess that kind of highlights what the difference is between, being the drummer versus the percussionist. Like, the percussionist adds the little spice textures and stuff like that. So I guess as a percussionist, when you're playing percussion, or when either of you are playing percussion, are you focused on keeping time at all? Or is it all about just creating textures and colors to go with the drummer who is keeping time?
I think it can be a little bit of both. The give and take is cool. Like, you listen to Latin bands and uh, like Latin rock bands. Like, Santana has three percussionists. They have two percussionists and a drummer, and there's no one person that's steering the ship the whole time. Like, it's all a lot of give and take. Like, sometimes it's the conga player that's driving the bus, sometimes it's the timbale player that's driving the bus.
Mhm.
Like, most of the situations that I found myself in as a percussion player is um, in a support role. But there's times, like, when Rich and I would play together, where um, they would give us a collective solo, and like, nobody would be uh, like, it wasn't anybody's solo. It was a duo, and there were always like moments where we look at each other afterwards and laugh because it was just so, like, unexpected, and we just played and something cool came out of it.
Yeah, I mean, the guitar
But
players do that all the time when they're trading licks,
yeah,
right?
yeah. But it wasn't even necessarily trading. Like, he would go,
No,
then I would go. It would just,
yeah,
we'd play together the whole time, which is super fun.
Yeah. And I find it it would help me playing with a good percussionist can help me, like, as a drummer, lock into a groove. Because, and sometimes we would do double drums as well. So you have like multiple drum sets on the stage. And that's another level of, there's just something about two drum sets playing like the same beat or a similar beat. There'd be like some songs where, like, there was kind of like, we would emulate like the phased out drum set and or maybe just like there's like, it was down in the verse and then the chorus is big,
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
The U2 song "Beautiful Day" we did once with
Yeah.
Brushy was playing tambourine. Michael Brushy, the other Dwayne Gretzky guy. You were playing the like drum machine that comes in off the top of the song. So then I was on the other drum kit, and all I would do was come in for the big bashy parts on the chorus, and like that's so like
Yeah.
the teamwork it takes to make that come off is
Mhm.
is so satisfying.
So
Yeah.
like when you're coming up with that in the practice room, like a lot of communication between the three of you, like just talking it out, or is it just sort of like it kind of happens at practice and then you're like, oh shit, that was cool. We need to do that.
I guess that.
Well, yeah, yeah,
Full
pretty
stop.
much. But it was like it would be different if it was like if we were coming up with parts for an original tune. That instance was a case of like there's two program parts and then a live drum kit in the chorus, and it was just a matter of divvying up who does what. But it's another example of like when you take the time and add the extra manpower to get the details right, it's so much more fun and satisfying for you as the musician and the audience member, because it wasn't drum machines, it was live drums, so that adds some oomph, and
Yeah.
it's just everything that you loved about that tune is there.
Yeah.
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 Do we want to sidetrack yet, or are we still going to keep on this? How do you want to do this, Rich?
Let's do a quick sidetrack.
Okay. We do lots of, yeah, this thing's all over the place, man.
I love it.
So yeah, this was your brainchild. So you take the lead on this.
Me? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as part of our one of our segments, we each choose 3 drummers in a specific context, from a specific context, that we'd like to highlight. They may be our favorites. They may just be someone we feel like mentioning today.
Mhm.
So I'll leave it at that. Today's context or category are drummers / percussionists, or maybe just percussionists, or maybe a drummer that utilizes percussion, kind of are known for that, or have had, you've heard something that you've really enjoyed how they employed a little bit more than the usual boom snick kind of stuff. So Adam, as our guest, why don't you, we didn't consult beforehand, so I hope we don't all have the same 3, but Adam, why don't you kick us off and tell who is your first drummer / and or percussionist?
Okay, the first percussionist I'm gonna go for is this guy Emil Richards, who he's an LA guy. He passed away a couple of years ago, but he came to LA and started off as a vibes player, and then he went on tour with Frank Sinatra's band for like a year, and it was a world tour for Amnesty International. And in the course of those travels, he collected like 700 different percussion instruments from all over the world. And after that, he became the guy, on record a bit, but mostly for film scores, when composers like Jerry Goldsmith or John Williams or anybody wanted a really interesting, out of the way sound. So like he had these things, and I don't know if he invented them, but they're called rub rods, which are metal rods that are covered in resin, and you put a glove on, and they're tuned to specific pitches, and just the way you tweak your hand down the rod gives a like ghostly note, and you can hear that in parts of Back to the Future.
Mm.
And then he would play like Indonesian angklungs in a Star Trek score, or just all these atypical instruments that you wouldn't get in a normal classical film score. Like one of my favorite things that he did was the original Planet of the Apes soundtrack. There's a whole bunch of him just playing flipped over aluminum salad bowls with mallets. in the big chase scene where they're rounding everybody up with the horses and stuff. And, that's yeah, cool guy, Emil Richards.
Cool.
Yeah. And then was it three guys?
Well, we're just
You
doing
just,
one.
you just give one for now. We'll
we
come
only
back.
go in
back
a
around.
circle.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
Why don't you go for it, Trey?
Okay. Totally out of my element because I don't listen to a lot of percussionists per se. But I guess like if I'm looking at percussionists, I guess, and I'm just kind of adding this on now because I have two that I actually picked out. So I'm gonna give this one away. And that would be Sheila E. I mean, she's had such a long-standing career. She's played with everybody. Just her enthusiasm for what she does, and just her stage presence. You can't deny as a percussionist and drummer because she's well versed in both disciplines.
I saw her play with Ringo once, and it was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, so can't deny that talent. So I'm gonna use that as my first pick.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with a drummer named Barrett Martin, who's a gentleman I met the very first tour I did with Danko. He was playing with a band called Walking Papers, and he's a total, just such an interesting guy, and it was amazing. He's an amazing drummer, but he's also has his own. That was a rock band, featured Duff McKagan as well, but he's played with band Mad Season, Screaming Trees. He's got his
REM. He's on
REM.
an REM record. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. REM. He's got his own, the Barrett Martin Group, which is like a jazz group. He's so super prolific, just such a smart guy. He and Danko would go like wander off together, and to see them like at a picnic table talking about just like their conversations, just like Danko's also a very intelligent guy, and they would just go off. Adam, I think you would get along with Barrett very well. You'd be able to like just go on, wherever he just knew so much about so much. And he's just an amazing musician. So I'm going to go with Barrett Martin as my first pick.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Good stuff.
See, and of course, who he is, Adam.
Yeah,
Adam is like an encyclopedia of musical knowledge. So I knew you'd be a great guest here, and I'm not surprised that like Barrett Martin is well known, but he's not like super well known. But of course,
he's not like a Steve Jordan or somebody.
Yeah.
If you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. He's one of those guys.
Yeah.
My second pick?
Not yet. We're gonna venture back into some other topics, and we'll come back around to it. Like I said, this is chaotic. We're all
like an intermission.
And you edit this, right? I saw on your Instagram you edit.
Sure.
Oh, good.
He does.
I keep parts like this in though.
Perfect.
How did you get into Los Cabos Drumsticks? Like, what's your Los Cabos origin story? I guess I would say.
Ryan reached out and asked if I was interested in trying. He asked me what sticks I was playing, and I told him. And then he's like, "Well, let me send you these and give them a try." And I had not indulged in a Los Cabos drumstick, but I was blown away. And here we are. Like I love the feel of the red hickory is really
okay. So you're a red hickory guy.
Red hickory 8A and 5B with the nylon tip when I want to be extra saucy, and the timbale stick for fun cowbell business.
Yeah.
But they all.
Do you rock any of their mallets or any of the other percussive tools?
Oh, I have the like, I don't know what they're called, but the one side is the mallet, and the other side is the drumstick. I had that one.
Hey, I had that in the last episode, the multi-stick. It's was it a 3A maple with the with the butt end as the mallet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's been just over a year. They're great, super easy. Whenever I need a little top up, just log on the
Mhm.
old website there, and it shows up in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Excellent folks at Los Cabos.
That's the one thing. Like I can't speak to other brands because I haven't, I'm not endorsed by anything other than the Los Cabos, but just the whole family vibe and the easygoing nature when you're dealing with anyone from headquarters is they're just phenomenal people to
Yeah,
deal with. And I assume, I mean, that's how I've been treated, and I'm just a podcast host with a punk band on the side, so
yeah. I mean, I've never worked with anybody before, so if I am to work with anybody else, or well, no, like drumstick people.
Mhm.
I worked with Jordan at YC, who's also an excellent dude, but that's not the same kind of thing where like I have the drum kit, and the drum kit is just there. Like the stick company relationship is such an ongoing thing.
Mhm.
So to have such an attentive staff, and there's a lot of people that play these sticks, so to feel like my order isn't getting lost in the shuffle
Mhm.
feels really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
great customer service. I will agree.
yeah,
Client
and
or yeah,
Artist relations.
artist relations. That's what I should say.
Yeah. All right. What do you got next, Rich?
Well, I think we should launch into our second pick, and we'll come back with some more hard hitting questions for Adam.
All right.
And about his career. I got a couple.
Okay.
Uh,
Do you want me to go or
pick
are you
that.
going to go?
why don't you go, man?
Okay. I'll go. I have this one queued up in the pipe. Um, this was technically my second pick, so I'm going to save my best pick for last, if there's such a category. Um, but this isn't somebody that I'm overly familiar with, but in doing some reading, I'm very impressed with, is Evelyn Glennie.
Hmm?
Um, like I was watching her perform. I still don't know how people do the whole two mallets in one hand thing,
Hmm.
but to be able to play and to play the way that she does, knowing that she can't hear what she's playing, she's completely deaf. So she's feeling the vibrations from the floor for the tempos and for all the other orchestrations. Um, to me, that's just next level stuff.
Yeah.
And
No
she's such
kidding.
a dynamic performer too. Like
Yeah.
I've seen videos of her like jumping to hit cymbals and going all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Wow. Not surprised. You know who that is, Adam? I didn't.
See,
But
trying to
cool.
stump you, and it's not.
Well, I'm stumped.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished. Ah. Well, okay. I'm going to give an honorable mention because I never even thought of percussions as mallet percussion. I never even thought of it as a choice here. My head was in the tambourine and timbale world and what have you. But Milt Jackson, I would
Oh yeah.
the MJQ, uh, huge fan of Milt Jackson's playing. So, but I have to be honest, I didn't put mallet or keyboard percussion in my thing here. So I'm gonna go move on to Tito Puente is my second pick, and because he's just super cool, and oye oye como va? Come on,
Yeah. Who doesn't
I
love
mean,
a good mambo?
yeah, and he's just so cool,
I'm
so
already dancing.
so flamboyant. It's just he's the man. So that's my second pick. Adam,
Bring us home.
hit us.
I'm gonna go with a drummer who's into using a lot of percussion, and that is Jim Keltner,
Whoa!
who's a really interesting guy, and one of the like
We're going goat status
for
here.
first guys to like tape a maraca to a stick. And there's that Steely Dan track where in the bridge he's playing a garbage can lid with rivets, that if you go to it's the Musicians Hall of Fame in Nashville. They have that garbage can live there,
No
Oh,
way.
really?
which is cool.
Is that like a really, it's pretty trashy sound?
Yeah, it's in the bridge of Josie
Yeah,
on
right.
Asia.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just sounds like a weird like a delay effect, but it's him actually playing it live as is. And I don't know, he is just one of those guys that can take a bunch of junk and make it sound musical. Like he'll like find some stuff on the street and take it in and sample it and play it on a Raikuda record. It's the coolest
Yeah.
thing I've ever heard in my life.
Mhm.
Like, and,
Yeah.
and by all accounts, he's the nicest guy in the history of the music business. So that also gains him some points.
Mhm.
Well, imagine like,
Yeah.
the company he keeps is like Tom Petty and Bob Dylan, Jeff Lynne and Roy Orbison put a
Yeah.
band together, and they're like, call you.
who are we gonna get? Yeah. Well,
Who are you gonna call?
there's one
George
track
Harrison?
on that first Traveling Wilburys record where he's
Mhm.
playing the fridge, like the inside of the fridge. They put a mic up to they recorded at Mike Campbell's house, and he was just fooling around while
He
they
was
were
making himself a sandwich, and they pressed record.
Yeah, there's footage of it on YouTube you can watch. It's amazing.
He's
There's
got a
song
bologna
called-
sandwich in his right hand,
called
and in his
Rattle.
left hand. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, tell me if that's cool.
That's essentially it. Yeah, like
You're right
a
about
guy
the
who
bologna
can-
sandwich.
a guy who can play the fridge on a like multi-platinum timeless record.
Yeah.
You know, that's a guy I'll tip my hat to.
And you know he's making good money if he can afford a bologna sandwich nowadays.
Hey,
Like
Yeah, and premium below.
premium
it would have been
maple leaf. It had to be maple leaf.
premium
They would have
California
Imported
bologna.
maple leaf.
Organic bologna.
Free range, organic,
Grass-fed organic bologna.
gluten free.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You don't see a lot of bologna sandwiches out there, like
No.
in the restaurant world, do you?
Yeah.
I was in Vegas at this place called Best Friend, and they have a fried bologna sandwich there that's done like a Cubano,
Mm,
and it's awesome.
that sounds delicious.
Yeah, it's this guy Roy Choi who hosts the Chef Show on Netflix.
Oh,
It's his
Yep.
restaurant.
Familiar with his stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Good
I've made it a
stuff.
couple-
did you guys see the movie? Is it The Menu? Is that what it's
Yes.
called?
Yeah, a
That
wild ride
cheeseburger
that
at
is.
the end. Don't want to give away the end, but that cheeseburger. Whew.
Oh yeah.
As a burger enthusiast,
Right.
I approved of the cheeseburger at the end of the menu.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being in, like you mentioned earlier about the amount of people on stage, just kind of in passing, and that kind of made me think of the lineup for Dwayne Gretzky is massive. Like there's what, 12, 13 people on stage at any given time? How
Yeah.
how do you manage that many people on stage? Like I come from a 3-piece band, so anything more than that is,
Well, I bring a book to sound check.
True story.
True story.
Yeah, well, look, it's often the case. Like, I'm the last guy they get to, so, and like, if we're in a smaller space, then if I'm beside the drummer, I get everything I need from the drum wedge. So it's not like I have to be sitting there like a goon
Yeah.
with my arm up the whole time. It's
Yeah.
just like wait till they tell me to play the bongos, and sometimes, like depending on how many people are on stage, that could be like 2 hours.
Mhm.
So I manage by getting a lot of reading done.
So
Yeah.
you're well read.
Yeah,
I saw footage
Pro
of you.
tips.
Oh,
Pro
yeah, pro
tips
tips here. Yeah, bring a book.
Yeah.
Bring a book.
yeah. Read the book.
So I watched some footage in the lead up to this of some live performances, and you also are pretty good at rapping. Um, some
Yeah.
yeah, some Beastie Boys raps. So do you how like do you moonlight as a vocalist? Like, do you have other projects where you do vocals, or you just straight up
No, just
when?
this. It was a novelty thing one time. Um, we play The Weight by the band sometimes, and I used to come up and sing the Rick Danko verse. And then as time went on, they started to be like, "Hey, do you want to try singing this? Do you want to try singing that?" And then one time they asked Rich and I if we wanted to do "Fight for Your Right to Party" by the Beastie Boys,
Mhm.
and turned out rap was my, and also Rich is quite the rapper as well. It was our uh, lost calling.
Yeah.
And then we did it a few more times. My favorite one that we did Intergalactic once with Danny Miles from July Talk, and we went to the hardware store before rehearsal. We bought the white painter suits and
Mhm.
some like yellow kitchen gloves, and we had the full on like
Yeah.
outfits from the video pretty much. And then we did 2 nights, and then the second night at the end of the song, we all tore them off and threw them out into the audience.
Yeah. And they're in, if you go down to Nashville, they actually have those exact suits in the museum as well, right beside the trash can lid.
Oh man.
So history, a lot of history with us, eh? A lot of history.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Steely
it's it,
Dan, the Beastie Boys.
but so tell like, I mean, we have had so much fun in that band when I used to play with you there. And I noticed too, I mean, and do you think like you started getting a lot of percussion work outside of the band as well? Why don't you can you talk a bit about that? Like you've and drum set
Mhm.
roles as well, of course. But
Yeah.
how did that come to be? Because
Well,
you are kind of like a go-to guy for percussion in Toronto. So how'd that end up?
it's a direct result of me forcing my way into Dwayne Gretzky with my congas. Like I did it long enough, and then um, I would do it like a few things here or there, but the thing that opened the door for me was July Talk was doing a live off the floor thing that never came out with this guy Tom Darcy, who um, is a record producer who did the Sheepdogs and Yukon Blonde and all these other bands, and that was my first time working with him. And I was just playing congas on a couple of tunes. Super fun day, but at the end of that day, I was like, "Hey, if you ever need any percussion, let me know." And then like a month later, it's like, "Hey, do you want to come play on this and come play on this?" And then we became friends, and um, uh, that was sort of my foot in the door of that world. And through him, I met the Sheepdogs, and a couple of years ago, their drummer had a bit of a health scare, so I got to go on tour as the drummer with that band after I had worked on a record as the percussion player with them, and that was a wild experience. And yeah, and I had played percussion on a Colorado album, um, and then through that, this band Anyway Gang uh, was getting ready to do a show, and because Mano and some of those guys knew me from that, my my name got put into the hat to be the live drummer for that thing, which was wild because uh, if anybody doesn't know, that band has Sam Roberts and Chris Murphy from Sloan, and Dave from Tokyo Police Club, and Mano from Colorado, all bands that are near and dear to my heart, but especially Sam Roberts and Chris Murphy, because my first ever band in high school, I played Don't Walk Away, Eileen, and If It Feels Good, Do It by Sloan. So to play songs with those guys was
Full circle moment.
yeah, it was pretty
Yeah.
wacky.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it all stems from having such a good time playing Wild Night by Van Morrison with Dwayne and the gang down in the basement of the Dakota. Like it led to a bunch of super cool stuff.
Yeah. And were you part of that on that gig with Chris Hadfield as well?
Yeah, that was also
It's been out of this world.
it was he recorded an album where the vocals were done in space. Like he would sing, and then this guy Robbie Lakritz, who I think he produced the Feist records and like Bahamas and stuff, he took those vocals and turned them into real songs. Or not like they were already real songs, but he produced them more fully. And then he was getting ready to release it and needed a band to do a couple of like morning TV shows. So a few of us from Dwayne got to back him up on that and hear stories about being in space and how you lose 30% of your blood when you're in space because like it's not like blood isn't flowing to your extremities, so it just like your body compensates somehow by not having as much of it inside you at one time.
Wow.
That could be total like garbage science that I'm just repeating, but that's a thing that sticks out from hanging out with Chris Hadfield for the day.
Yeah, we can use that for Rich and I's other podcast that's all about outer
garbage
space
science.
Garbage science, yeah.
Stuff I'm thinking about.
I think he was shorter when he got back too.
Probably.
Because
I've heard that's a thing, yeah.
Like you
shrink.
Yeah. He was pocket sized Chris Hadfield.
I wonder if that has anything to do with more with like the whole leaving and entering orbit versus being in space.
Yeah,
just all those G's that you're, I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, that's for the other podcast, so we don't have to deep dive.
Yeah, I think it has to do with gravity. So, speaking of other podcasts, Adam has had a podcast. Does that exist still? Drum and Drummer?
No, it's R.I.P. Drum and Drummer. But for a while, Jake, the drummer in Colorado, and I would have people over to their office, and it was like 9 years ago, so we were pretty heavy into the beers back then. Rich was our second guest ever. And
terrible interview. Yeah. Not your fault, my fault.
A
beer sponsorship.
Yeah,
and
Collective Arts Brewery was our sponsor, and we would ply those guests that would indulge with us with a lot of beer and talk about God knows what.
It's somewhat like our garbage science podcast.
Yeah,
something close to that quality.
But it was fun. Like we got to meet. That's the first time I met Jeremy Taggart was doing that podcast, which was fun. He's an interesting fellow.
He does a podcast with Jonathan Torrance still, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Taggart and Torrance. Yeah. He's another guy that as a kid I had pictures of him from drum magazines taped up on
OLP, man. Wall. Those IOT drums.
Yeah. He sat in with Dwayne once at a New Year's show, and he played Soul Sacrifice by Santana with us.
Yeah, remember that?
Which was fun.
Yeah.
Thought he was going to break Rich's drums because he has only played in arenas and stadiums since he was like 18. So he showed up to rehearsal and
projects a little bit.
Yeah. It was a small space, and he was instantly just like arena guy.
That's fine. The front of house guy is going to handle all that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's what Mike's for.
Yeah, it's been a few times that's happened in my career where someone's like, "Do you mind if we use your drums?" Like, yeah, sure, no problem. It's like, "Oh yeah, he's a good drummer. Don't worry." It's like, okay, cool. And then yeah, the drummer just proceeds to just beat the crap out of the drums. You just like watch it. It's like watching your kid get punched out or something on the playground. He's like, oh no,
Yeah.
oh God.
And then you go to play and all your drum heads are pitted
That's
and just,
all. Yeah, it's
oh
like,
man.
man.
I don't remember that
Anyway,
crack in that cymbal before.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
That happened to me once. I was using a house kit and then so I brought my breakables and a buddy of mine forgot his hi-hats. So he's like, "Hey man, mind if I borrow your hi-hats?" I was like, "Okay, cool." He's a good drummer. And yeah, he cracked the bell of my hi-hat. I
yeah,
don't know
that's
how he
just,
did it, but yeah, right along the bell of the hi-hat.
Just the bell.
Just yeah, right around the bell. About
Was he
I don't know, 2 centimeters around the bell. Yeah. I don't know how he did it.
tanging that hi-hat bell?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
yeah.
We're still good buddies. And yeah.
But if you're listening, man,
Yeah, you owe me a set of hi-hat.
should we head on to our third drummer,
Yeah, we can.
percussionist? Not to end the episode, just
I know.
Roll things along.
you
I'm gonna
sounded
pull the plug.
sounded
No,
hesitant.
no, I had a question, but I'll save it for
Oh
after.
no.
It's good.
Okay,
No,
save
go
it for
ahead.
after. Save it for
Yeah.
after because then we'll jump right back in.
Okay.
I guess should I go first?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I'll go second and then Adam can bring us home.
Okay. I had a few drummers on my list. I picked 5 because I suspected that someone would take one of mine, and I'll say Jim Keltner was on one of my 5. So, and this might be one of their 5. Sorry, but and I might butcher his last name, but Glenn Koch,
Oh, Coachy.
drummer in Wilco.
Missed it by that much.
Drummer in Wilco, and percussionist, composer extraordinaire. Yeah, pretty like from what I know. Adam gonna know more than me about him, of course, but I would say that he's like a proper percussionist, like a university kind of trained percussionist that you would expect to see coming out of like a prestigious university classical program. Also happens to be really groovy drummer for the band Wilco, and in many Wilco songs, there's a very tasteful and excellent use of unique sounding instruments, different things, not your regular, boomstick, as I say. So I'll go
Totally.
Glenn Kochi. Adam, anything to add on him?
Well, yeah. Have you ever seen a Wilco concert? It's
I haven't.
Amazing to see him. Like every song, his tech is coming up and changing. Like he has all these little like homemade things that go on the hi hat. And then Dre, you were talking before about the cool thing that Malik keyboard guys do with the two things. He has like a vibraphone and crotale bells set up on the side of his kit, so he's playing like regular drum set, but vibes at the same time. And then he throws the stick away and starts playing a shaker part, and like just the coordination involved, and it's seamless. So yeah, he's love that guy.
That's insane because I'm lucky if I can get through a song without dropping a drumstick, let alone do that.
Purposely putting one to the
Purposely, of
side.
course. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a military operation. Him and his tech have such a thing. Like he'll throw a stick away, and the tech will calmly like come and
Just come and put it back.
Put or like whatever the next striking implement that he needs. Like he'll tape coins to the tops of multi rods just to get a different sound, and like he'll have like shakers strapped to his legs and stuff. He's wild man.
Yeah. My last percussionist is Steven Seagal. I don't know if you've ever just the way he just like, I don't know, it's cool.
He's
No,
like
I think it's pronounced Seagull.
Seagull. Yeah, no. Actually, my third pick isn't one person in particular. Rather, it's a group of the Blue Man variety.
oh, snap.
Yeah, the way that that's a bucket list for me to go and catch an actual live pro. I've watched, some DVD footage and all the stuff like that, but to actually experience it live is a bucket list. Just the way that all of them interlace their parts to make a more interactive and just experience for the audience is next level orchestration, I guess would be the word for it. I've always been impressed with them, and then the fact that there's different groups and they're all doing this like different shows, and they kind of interswap members from one to the other. Like it's a whole process to become a Blue Man, and yeah, I think they're just really cool. So that's my third pick.
And just the instruments that they play, like the homemade PVC pipe instruments. It sounds so cool, and like the ones that expand and contract.
Or the spider rig that they have that the drum comes in and then they play and then it moves and it walks across the stage with them. It's incredible. It's incredible.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Super cool. Me?
Yeah, top that. Mic drop.
There's a lot that I could say, but the one that keeps coming to mind right now, and it's for one specific reason, it's Mick Fleetwood from Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
Like really, really interesting drummer. Can never play the same thing the same way twice. So like what you get on a take is what you get. Like you'll never get the same exact fill. You'll get, mostly the same. But if you listen to his percussion overdubs from the get-go, from when they were a blues band and he would play weird congas on stuff, just his ideas of where percussion should come in and out are so like unorthodox and like not what you would normally think. But my favorite percussion moment of his is on the song "Oh Daddy" from Rumors. It's just really simple drum set part, but at one point there's one lonely castanet hit, and it's the only time it happens in the song. It's the only time you hear castanet on the whole record. But every time I hear that song and that part happens, it just hits me like a ton of bricks. It's like it's the perfect thing to happen at the perfect time, and then the fact that they didn't do it again and make it a repeating part was such a cool choice. And I don't like I like to think it was him. Like Lindsey Buckingham has a lot of interesting percussion ideas too. But Mick Fleetwood, number 3.
Right on.
Good choice.
He does do like weird, not weird, but just interesting and different, where he'll put an accent, the cymbal and stuff. I remember doing a record once and the producer asked me to like do that, and I found it like my mind just like, it's like, I just couldn't do it. It's like, what? I can't, I don't know what you mean. Like it's
like
pretty cool.
Take your natural instinct and flip it around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So play left-handed then.
Yeah.
Might as,
do that.
Yeah, it was a tough note to take, but he's so great. Nice. That's a good eclectic selection, I'd say.
It's a good list. Yeah. Anybody listening should check all of them out, because I'm definitely like, there's some names you guys said, I'm just like, I have no idea who those people are. I gotta definitely check them out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Show notes. Do we have show notes? You can put them in the show notes. I'll have to listen again, guys.
Don't write them out. I barely wrote any questions for this thing.
But you did have one you were about to ask.
Yeah, it was in regards to like when you're getting calls to like come in on different projects. How much lead time do you get? And like, do you chart stuff like when you're coming up with session work? Like,
That would be a helpful thing for me to do, but like sometimes it's like the morning of, and somebody's like, "Hey, do you have bar chimes?" I'm like, yeah, I have bar chimes. Okay, great. Uber's on the way. Come do that.
so
So it could be
it's that last minute.
sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's an actual thing that happened. Um, but sometimes it's like the day before, and it would be a prudent thing if I at some point started to be like, oh, who's the artist? Like, how many tunes? What am I doing? But there's also something fun about not knowing and just showing up and like, oh, it's Deer Rouge, cool. What am I doing?
Because then you're trusting your instincts, and usually those are right.
Yeah, and most of the people that I work like engineers and producers I work with on a regular basis, like we have a pretty good rapport where like we can get sounds really quick, and I don't know, like a good training thing about working in cover bands is you learn songs that much quicker because you have to do it all the time. So if you're put into a situation where you're coming in and doing a record in a day, as long as it's not like like King Crimson or something, like you'll be able to pick up like what has to happen in like an hour or two. So
can I ask a follow up to that, Adam? Like, I was always impressed with your ability to remember songs and kind of keep them in your memory and execute on the gigs. What's your process for? Because we had a previous episode about learning cover songs, and I mean, you're still doing it. You're still learning, doing new shows with completely new set lists, and so, how do you do it?
I mean, at this point, because like it's been 12 years since the first time I filled in for you with that band, so like it's not like we're playing like huge deep cuts all the time. So there's songs that if I'm not like intimately familiar with, then like I'm aware of how it goes, and just like 4 or 5 listens through, and like maybe I'll write down like how like the signature drum fill goes or something. But for the most part, it's just like listening, and I've been blessed with a good memory for everything. My like I call myself the archive.
That's an amazing nickname.
That's a good nickname.
That I only call myself that.
No, today after today.
Adam, the archive.
Yeah.
It's a good ring name.
That's a great, yeah.
So it's just something that
yeah, because I will say, like, I on the gigs and stuff, like there'd be times when they'd call something that we hadn't played forever, or I don't know, and I'd like have a minor panic attack, be like, Adam, you want to do this? And you'd like, yeah, sure, and like always remember everything, and like even after you'd start playing, I'd be like, oh yeah, okay, I could have done this, I guess, but like but not always. And yeah, it was always I was always very curious what your process was. And so a little bit of natural ability, but also I would agree you do learn. I guess we discussed this in the other episode, but there's certain things you come to expect from a song, and you start to be able to chunk bigger and bigger parts together more quickly in your head with more and more practice. And you've had I don't know when I stopped playing with that band, but maybe years ago, 4 or 5. I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
so
I think the last gig I remember you on was like Halloween 2019.
okay.
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, been a little while.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's like just the practice of learning tunes like that makes it easier
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
it
So,
goes.
so do you find whenever you're just listening to the radio or just music playing in the background that you're constantly in that dissection mode, that you're hearing things as opposed to just the song?
Not real. Sorry, my device is gonna die, so I'm just plugging it in here. Not really. I can turn it off. Like I listen to music and enjoy music just for the sake of it
Okay.
all the time. Um, it's only when I'm like, okay, this is work time,
Okay.
that I turn the archive input switch on, and
Activate archive.
Activate archive
oh,
mode.
oh,
I, I, did you ever notice though, like if you're out for like brunch or something, it's like, God dang it, like this, it's the whole Gretzky set list. Like I
oh yeah.
found that when I was like, yeah, just going to any restaurants, like I know every song that's like playing here. Like I've played drums to every song on this playlist. It was, I guess
Yeah.
that's what it is. And so like, yeah, what else? I mean, that'd be, I was gonna ask like, what else is coming up with that band? You guys just played Massey Hall,
Mhm.
which looked like an
Yeah, it
incredible night. A
was
New
cool.
Year's, another New Year's night. Yeah.
We played on a cruise ship in
Oh,
Mexico in
that's right.
January, which was interesting. Uh, Not something I would choose to do as a vacation for myself, but uh, as a thing to do with friends in a band, it was awesome.
That's great.
Because it was a corporate for RBC, and they had rented out the whole ship. So there was, in a ship that can fit 2,500 people, there was like 1,000 people. So I don't know,
Lots
Pretty
of room.
roomy. Yeah.
Yeah.
it was cool. Yeah,
The lineups weren't too bad, and yeah.
Yeah.
no, and we could go on all the parts of the ship where, like, on a regular cruise, you would have to pay more to go there.
Oh, okay,
Uh,
right on.
so that was kind of cool. But gigs wise, the '90s shows are in a couple weeks.
Oh, nice.
Two nights of the Phoenix, and then some more um, sprinkled throughout the spring. And then I do a Beatles cover band called the. Can I swear on your podcast? It's called the
Fuck
Shitty
yeah.
Beatles. Fuck,
What is it?
fuck yeah! It's called the Shitty Beatles, and we're
Nice.
doing March 17th, 18th at the Dakota, and then I was just in Winnipeg with Tara Lightfoot, which was fun, and do some more stuff with her in the spring. That's a case of like I played with her in the fall, and then um, that was that because her regular drummer is Glenn Milchin from Blue Rodeo. So whenever he has to sub out from a gig, they're like, "Hey, you want to go to Winnipeg this weekend?" I'm like, "Sure." Hadn't thought about her tunes. Hadn't played, like, I've never rehearsed with her, but it was totally fine and awesome. And that's all down to the training from, like, learning all these songs
Yeah.
Mhm.
as closely to the recordings as possible with Dwayne Gretzky.
I bet
Uh,
you also, when you go into the studio to, whether it's drums or percussion you're putting down, you're also drawing on all of those
oh yeah,
hundreds and hundreds of songs that you've learned.
yeah. Like for percussion, it's always just like, oh, this would be a good spot for a big Elton John tambourine whack, or some cymbal rolls, or
Mhm.
uh, like a Motown conga thing would be good here. Like
Yeah.
it all
It's
comes out.
it's funny you mentioned the Elton John thing. First thing I heard was the boom, 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 which Matt Sorum ripped that off on all of the Use Your Illusion albums.
Yeah.
that Elton John drum fill.
Yeah.
Because he was called in last minute to record those 2 albums. And Axel was like, just Elton John it. And that's literally every drum fill through all those songs. It's the same thing over and over again.
Those records are like the Guns N' Roses records, great. But every record Elton John put out from 1970 to 1975 is amazing from start to finish. And if you
Mhm.
haven't listened to those, it's like the Beatles stopped and he kept going with the same spirit and quality of songwriting throughout. Like they're killer.
Okay, I'm gonna go give him a listen.
Yeah,
Elton John. Yeah.
you know, yeah. People don't really know him, but he's an up and coming like,
I was gonna say
songwriter.
he's just going on his first tour there coming up.
Yeah,
You should catch him. Might be his last.
yeah. You never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah. This has been fantastic.
Yeah, man.
Super
Yeah,
grateful that
good
you've
time.
come on to do the
Yeah,
podcast.
thanks for having me, guys. I was excited to.
Thank you. You're a fantastic guest. So good to see you, man.
Nice to see your face. I was bummed you and the family were sick when I was there in the fall.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
old
but next time.
yeah,
Next
please come on back.
So we didn't do this on the last podcast, but it made me think of doing it for this podcast. So where can people find you on socials, and where can they hit you up and keep an eye on what you're doing?
Well, I have a website.
What?
It's called adamthinksaboutmusicandstuff.com.
It's a really cool
and
website.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I actually I do a blog and write funny, or what I think are funny things there. And then my Instagram is just my name, which somehow I was able to get without any numbers or colons or anything. And the funniest thing about my Instagram is there's a famous fashion casting director from New York who's also named Adam Hindle. So a lot of times I get tagged in all these like swanky fashion week things. And then people like try and send me like, oh, can you cast our girl in this thing? And I like to respond in as like nerdy a way as possible. Like, oh, neato, gang, this was super fun. And then
You got to be careful with those casting calls, man.
Yeah, they block me and delete the post pretty quickly. But it's fun. It's fun for me to do a bit of trolling, like whenever that happens. It's innocent fun.
Yes, it's polite troll. Adam,
a polite troll.
Adam, what is it? Adam thinks
about music and stuff.
Adam thinks about music and stuff.
Yeah, Adam thinks about music and stuff.com.
Is that a signed drum head from Max Weinberg?
Nice.
Yeah, and Hal Blaine is above him.
Hal Blaine, wow.
Yeah, I got that at the there's a documentary made about the Wrecking Crew, which were the guys in LA in the 60s and 70s that played on all the hits. And I think I told you about it, and you tried to also get one.
Yeah.
But I got the last
one. Sweet.
Yeah, you've got some sweet photos with some different, pretty amazing people going to some of those Comic-Con and the different things like that. Which Dre, I think you would appreciate with your droid.
Yeah, I got my Fallout mug for my water, and I got my R2D2 for my tea.
You're all set over there.
I'm all set. Yeah. Got to represent.
Well, yeah.
Well, sweet.
We'll have to have you back on where we can talk like nerd stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Well, thanks, fellas.
So thanks for coming on. And
all right,
we'll do it again. So for everyone else, this is the end of the episode. You can catch You can email us if you have any comments, questions, concerns, complaints, whatever. lcdquarternotes@gmail.com. I'm Dre_SGS on Instagram, and Rich has one as well.
Yeah, Rich Knox Drums.
And check out Adam Hindle on his tags and go visit his website and follow him and all his musical escapades and Dwayne Gretzky.
Thanks, fellas.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Adam, the archive. Hindle. Thanks, man.
Good.
All right.
Sweet.
And scene.
And scene.
Yeah.
All right.
That was very fun.